And as Ukraine's counter-offensive continues to progress, its foreign minister has launched an unusually blunt attack on Germany, accusing Berlin of ignoring pleas for military hardware like battle tanks. Disappointing signals from Germany, while Ukraine needs Leopards and Marders now. Dmytro Kuleba tweeted, "Not a single rational argument on why these weapons cannot be supplied, only abstract fears and excuses." Well, let's get Tobias Bacherle's perspective on this. He's a member of the German Parliament for the Greens, the party of Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. Welcome to DW News. Do you feel Foreign Minister Kuleba's criticism is aimed at you?
I think it's aimed at the government, and I do understand his feelings very well. I do believe that we, at certain points, have a strong support in the German people for Ukraine, and at certain points we can do more as a government, or the government can do more, and so I really understand and I see that he's pointing at us and at the government, yes.
Chancellor Olaf Scholz says he will not send battle tanks to Ukraine unless other countries do the same. He says Germany must not act unilaterally. That's a fair point, isn't it?
It's a fair point to say we must not act on our own, and I would rather say we must act coordinated with our partners, our allies within NATO, but also with our partners outside NATO, and this, of course, includes Ukraine. So I would even argue the window we have within this coordinated approach is bigger, and I would say, yes, this also includes the demand of sending, yes, tanks as well. And of course, I think there are two lines where we need to see. One is, how can we support Ukraine in their battle, and in the end, the battle they are fighting for us as well, for freedom, for democracy. And the other, of course, is what are we able to deliver? And of course, I do see and acknowledge that those are two important arguments to be made. But on both hands, I see more opportunities that are possible, for example, to deliver the Marders on that.
Why is it, though, do you think that no Western ally has agreed to send battle tanks yet, when it's clear Ukraine needs them to keep its counteroffensive going?
Well, I do see the point that, first of all, this is a new category. So I'm completely in that this needs to be discussed, although this takes time. I see that. I think the other thing is that this is, again, the second line I tried to describe, is what are we able to deliver? What do we have in stock? And I think there's something that we have the argumentation around, well, what do we have in stock in our military? And there's a new opportunity now. I think it was today when Rheinmetall announced that they have, in fact, restored 16 old Marder tanks. And I think this is another opportunity now, which I do totally understand makes up a new window, which hasn't been there before. Or took a while to create, and therefore I see that this is a bit of another discussion now, because it's not about what do we have in stock, what our own militaries actually need.
It sounds like there's a lot of discussion going on. Whether or not it's the right discussion is another question, but time is of the essence here in Ukraine. What's your party going to do to convince your coalition partner to change course?
Well, we've been arguing with them for the last few weeks and months, I would say, and we will continue that. Of course, it's a discussion which is very much done or created within the Committee of Defense, but also from a foreign perspective, I really believe it's important to stress the argument that we need to stand at the sides of those who fight for the liberal cause, who fight for our values, and otherwise we lose other partners in the world. And I think to stay consistent at that point, it's a thing we can only try to explain again and again.
Besides losing other partners around the world over this squabbling, is there something that could really not only divide the German government, which it's already doing, but also bring down the German government?
No, because I don't see any alternatives lying there in the political field. I do believe that, as certain recent surveys showed, the support within the German people for Ukraine is huge, and people demand more. So I don't really see that this government can find a way around doing that. But also, when I look at the political landscape, I think this might be the wrong fear of the wrong political forces within now, not pushing forward. So I don't really see an alternative there. I don't see anyone being consistently and advocating to someone else who isn't in the government right now. Of course, the Conservatives do, but I'm skeptical about them delivering more consistent when you look at the bigger picture and how to get more sovereign and independent, also regarding the energy crisis we have right now from Russia. So I don't really see an alternative there. We're stuck with the best we have, although, of course, we need to push further.
Tobias Bacherle, German lawmaker with the Green Party, thank you for coming on the show today. Let's talk to Johannes Arlt. He's a member of the German Parliament for the Social Democrats. Thanks for being on DW. Do you share that criticism from the Ukrainian foreign minister?
I don't share this statement from the Ukrainian foreign minister. We deliver a lot. So we have delivered military equipment for more than 600 million euros to the Ukraine, from the industry as well also from the forces. And I think that our strategy to provide the Ukraine with equipment as it hits the Russian superiorities like firepower, artillery, has proven quite well that it works.
Delivering a lot, in your words, but why then does Ukraine, and from day one of this war, continually plead for more?
Ukraine is in a very deteriorated situation, and they have to defend themselves. They fight for survival, and sure, it's a situation where you will ask for more and where you'll ask always for more support. But actually, we have forces that were saved down to a level where we can hardly grant our national defense capabilities and our commitments to NATO, so we can just give what we have.
Germany's defensive position is a completely different story, though, and that has its background over the past years, I would say. The situation now is that Ukraine is being attacked. Why can't more be sent, and why not heavier equipment as well?
We will not act alone, so we will always act in a multilateral environment. And as you probably can see, there was delivered no Western battle tank to Ukraine from any major European country. And this is an agreement what we follow, and I think it serves us well.
So Germany's not in a position to lead the way as Europe's biggest and richest economy?
We have also commitments to NATO, as I told you, and we have reduced our numbers of battle tanks and military equipment so dramatically that we have to work with the capability reserve we have to keep for our own purposes. And until this reserve, we deliver what we can.
I understand there are different opinions within the SPD. Why are the Social Democrats so divided when it comes to military support for Ukraine?
I'm a career officer myself, but I can tell you that I think that our reasoned and well-thought-out approach to this, to deliver capabilities Ukrainians can use, and that in the same way does not weaken our national defense, is the right way to go for our country.
Johannes Arlt, German lawmaker with the Social Democratic Party, thank you very much for joining us here on DW News.
Well, Ukraine's military success has come as the West supplies it with weapons, but there are alternative ways to support the war effort that don't involve conventional weapons. And many Ukrainians are involved in deploying them, as DW's Matthias Bullinger reports.
A normal car can carry several of them and stay safely behind the front line. They're small and easy to transport. But this box doesn't contain a piece of sophisticated military tech. It's a simple drone that could be bought in any electronics shop around the world. Here in Ukraine, they have become an important tool in the war.
We use these consumer drones because they have good cameras and good technical specifications. The only thing we do is remove some of the limitations from the software.
Drones like these often have limits on their speed, altitude or range. Sometimes their systems also block them from places like airports. Ukrainian programmers hacked the software to remove these limits and send them into enemy territory. It's much cheaper and safer than traditional aerial reconnaissance.
Our goal is to identify the enemy, if possible in real time, so we can guarantee we hit the target we've seen without harming civilians.
Aerial pictures like these showing strikes have become common in this war. Both sides use essentially the same drones, but the Ukrainians say they've had a disadvantage. Most consumer drones are made by the Chinese company DJI, which also makes a tool called Aeroscope to track drones and their pilots. Ukraine says DJI only gives it to the Russians.
Aeroscope can see which model and the coordinates of the drone, its trajectory, and also the starting point where it will return to when called back. The reconnaissance unit gives these coordinates to the artillery so they can target the pilot.
DJI denies favoring the Russians, and Ukrainian army hackers are now reprogramming the drones so they can't be detected. They've even developed gadgets so the drones can drop small explosives.